Perhaps tonight, you are the same, lying down with a heart weighed down by worries. Hundreds of thoughts spinning endlessly, making sleep feel so far away. 2,500 years ago, there was someone just like that. A young prince, living in a palace of gold and jewels. Yet every night he was restless, haunted by a single question. How can the mind find true peace? That person was Siddhartha, who would later become the Buddha. Tonight's story will take you on that very journey. From the quiet unease inside a royal palace to the moment of enlightenment beneath the Bodhi tree. And through every breath, every word, you too will begin to learn how to lay down the burdens in your heart and discover peace for yourself. Let this voice and these ancient teachings guide you into stillness. There is no need to try, no need to resist. Just relax, listen, and let peaceful sleep gently arrive. In a distant land, where the sunlight spread across fertile fields and gentle rivers nurtured life of every kind, a child was born into a palace of gold and splendor. He was surrounded by love, but also by the fears of his parents. That child was Prince Siddhartha, the one who would one day become the Buddha. But his childhood was nothing like the tales of wandering sages in the forest or of ascetics enduring harsh trials. On the contrary, his early years were filled with luxury. Wrapped in comfort within 3 magnificent palaces, one for each season. In the summer, he bathed in cool lakes where lotus flowers bloomed all year round. In the winter, bright fires lit every room, their warmth held close by thick carpets. During the rainy season, wide balconies let him watch the silver rain fall over the garden trees like flowing silk. Every detail of the palace was designed to perfection, leaving no cracks through which reality could enter. His father, the powerful king, had sworn to protect his son from all the suffering of life. From sickness, aging, and even death. To fulfill this vow, the king gave strict orders. No old person was ever to appear before the prince. No one sick was allowed to walk the palace grounds. Not a single withered leaf or fading flower was permitted to exist in the garden. Every morning before sunrise, the gardeners rushed along every path, plucking away dry leaves and replacing wilted flowers with freshly bloomed ones. The young eyes of Siddhartha were only to witness vibrant life, flawless beauty, and a world with no trace of sorrow. Even the palace attendants were carefully chosen, all young, healthy, and full of radiant smiles. Should anyone show signs of illness, they were quietly removed. If someone's hair began to turn gray, they were no longer allowed near the prince. All of this was done to make Siddhartha believe that life was endless youth and joy. But even though he lived in this dreamlike setting, surrounded by music, dancing, games, and lavish feasts, a quiet question slowly formed in his heart. A hollow space that no celebration or sweet wine could fill. On some nights, as the palace slept and the moonlight tilted through the window, Siddhartha would sit alone, staring out at the vast sky, his eyes wide open, his mind full of unspoken questions. He wondered, is this really all there is? Is there something more beyond these walls? Could it be that life is just an endless cycle of luxury and repetition? And if so, why does this emptiness still echo within me? These quiet questions made him feel different from those around him. While his friends found joy in hunting games, in golden bows and powerful steeds, Siddhartha stood silently, gazing at the sky, sensing a deep yearning, as if life were hiding some greater truth that no one had yet revealed. And it was this emptiness, this quiet longing, those sleepless nights, these were the seeds of a great journey yet to come. A journey no palace, no throne, no treasure could ever stop. Because Siddhartha's childhood, though wrapped in the finest shell, had left a mark upon his heart that the world held more than met the eye. And true happiness could not be built from high walls and gold alone, but must be sought with a heart that dares to ask and a soul willing to listen for the whispers of truth waiting to be found. During the years of Siddhartha's childhood, the palace where he lived was like a world completely separated from the rest of humankind. A world where every step touched polished marble floors. Every glance landed on gardens that remained lush all year round, where the morning sunlight streamed through golden embroidered curtains, reflecting on walls inlaid with jewels, so that everything the young boy saw was only splendor and magnificence. And his father, King Suddhodana, used all his power, his love, and even the fear of a father to build that illusion, a world without aging, without sickness, without death, without decay. For he had once heard the astrologers predict that this son of his would either become the most powerful king who conquered all directions, or he would renounce everything to seek the path of liberation, and the heart of a father could not accept the second fate. That is why he built walls around the palace, not only with stones and bricks but also with strict rules. Every sign of suffering had to be hidden. Every trace of impermanence erased. No old person was allowed within the sight of the young prince. No sick person could appear in the gardens. No corpse could ever be carried through the city gates. Each dawn, before the sun rose, the attendants and servants would walk through every pathway of the gardens, picking up dry branches, replacing wilted flowers, sweeping away every fallen leaf, so that when Siddhartha opened his eyes and stepped outside, all he could see was vibrant life, the tender green of the leaves, the pink, white, and yellow of flowers still wet with dew, and the clear singing of birds, as if this world would never know withering. And not only the scenery, even the people within the palace were carefully chosen. Every maid was young and beautiful. Every servant was healthy and strong. If anyone showed the smallest sign of illness, they were immediately removed. If a single gray hair appeared on someone's head, they too had to leave the palace, so that the youthful eyes of Siddhartha would never glimpse the shadow of time, so that his innocent heart would never touch the truth that the human condition is fragile. And year after year, Siddhartha grew up in this shining golden cage, nourished with entertainment, with lessons from the finest teachers, learning literature from golden tablets, practicing archery and swordsmanship on training grounds covered with flowers, riding horses trained never to stumble, listening to music played by the kingdom's most talented musicians, and attending festivals filled only with laughter and light. Everything was arranged so that not a single sadness could slip in. Yet, even so, in the boy's heart there slowly grew a vague feeling, an emptiness that could not be filled. For whenever the banquets ended, whenever the dances ceased, whenever the palace sank into deep sleep, Siddhartha would often stand alone by the window, gazing out at the vast sky beyond the walls, where the silent moon hung above, where the dark roads stretched endlessly into the distance. And he would ask himself, is this all there is? Is life contained only in this luxury? Is there another truth waiting out there? For why is there still this emptiness inside me? This nameless longing? And while others found joy in games, in fine wine, in music, he felt in them something false. Like beautiful paintings without a soul. Like dazzling plays that never touched reality. And it was in those quiet moments that the seed of seeking was sown in Siddhartha's heart. A seed that would grow. Making him restless in his golden cage. Making him yearn to step beyond the high walls to face the real truth of life. Even if that truth contained the suffering his parents had so carefully hidden. And that is why, when we speak of Siddhartha's childhood, we do not only see a prince living in silk and luxury, but we also see a soul beginning to doubt, a heart beginning to stir, a pair of young eyes starting to look beyond the walls around him. And from within that very abundance, the sprout of a journey beyond was formed, a journey that would change not only his own life, but the spiritual destiny of humankind. Siddhartha grew up surrounded by silk and luxury, among gentle music, intoxicating fragrance, and the devoted service of hundreds of people. To anyone looking from the outside, that life must have seemed like paradise. A dream any human being would long for. But ironically, it was within that seemingly perfect setting that the young prince's heart grew heavier each day with a strange emptiness. A hollow space that no game, no banquet, no song could fill. At night, when the golden palace fell silent, Siddhartha often lay awake for a long time. His eyes following the moon drifting across the window. His mind echoing with the question, could life hold something deeper? Could there be a meaning beyond gold, concubines, music, and sweet wine? And as he entered youth, that yearning became stronger. Siddhartha felt lost even in the midst of the crowds. When friends celebrated victories in hunting, he saw only meaningless repetition. When others laughed loudly in feasts, he felt that laughter to be hollow, a cover hiding some truth that no one dared to face. Deep within, he realized that happiness built only on material things existed for just a moment. Like a dazzling performance under bright lights that quickly vanished once the curtain fell, leaving only silence and a cold emptiness. It was exactly that emptiness which pushed him to begin searching, not for another game, not for another palace, not for another fleeting pleasure, but for something that could answer the quiet yet burning question: what is the true meaning of life? Is there a happiness that endures, not swept away by time? Is there a peace that does not shatter under the changes of the world? And as he grew older, Siddhartha felt more clearly the pull inside him. On one side was the royal life his parents so carefully protected. And on the other side was the vague yet powerful call of truth. Every time he stood before the high palace walls, he felt another invisible wall inside himself, imprisoning the longing to know, to see, to live a real life. And in those long sleepless nights, the seed of seeking sprouted stronger than ever, making Siddhartha determined that one day he must go out. He must see with his own eyes, hear with his own ears, and feel with his own heart the things his parents had hidden from him all his life. For only by facing the bare truth could he hope to find an answer to the emptiness no one understood, an emptiness that could only be filled by awakening and wisdom. Not by gold, power, or fragile pleasures. And while we are picturing the childhood of Siddhartha within those golden palace walls, we can also allow ourselves to pause for a moment, just as the young boy once often stood silently by the window, listening to something deep within. Take a slow breath in. Feel the cool air filling your chest. And then breathe out gently, letting the breath carry away any tension from your body. Breathe in softly again. Imagine yourself standing in the palace gardens, surrounded by flowers and birdsong. Then breathe out, letting the palace music drift away like clouds dissolving, leaving only the tender quiet that embraces you. Take another breath in. Feel your shoulders loosening, your face softening, your hands no longer clenched. Then breathe out, letting go of the worries that still linger from the day. Let your breath become steady, like the slow footsteps of Prince Siddhartha walking down the long corridors. One breath in, one breath out, flowing like waves, like the moon rising and then fading away. No need to hurry, no need to force, just let it all unfold naturally. Because in that very simplicity, in the softness of breathing, we too can sense the same emptiness that Siddhartha once felt, not an emptiness to fear, but one to listen to, one that reveals that beyond all the layers of luxury and glamour, there is always a deeper calling, the calling of truth, the calling of peace. And now, as you continue to breathe in and out in a steady rhythm, you are walking alongside that very journey, the journey of letting go of outside noise to return to the quiet within, where even a single breath is enough for you to touch the peace that has always been present. The message from Siddhartha's childhood echoes to us today with clarity, that perhaps outwardly we may already have everything. Perhaps we have achieved what others dream of, a warm home, a stable job, a complete family, modern comforts all around, even the praise and admiration of others. Yet deep inside, we may still feel a nameless emptiness, a hollow space that no material thing can ever fill. Because outer happiness, no matter how bright, is only a shiny coat of paint on a wall, while true serenity must arise from within, from a heart that knows how to pause, how to breathe, how to see that everything we possess, every bit of glory we hold, is only temporary. It is just like the royal banquets of Siddhartha's past, radiant, lively, but once the feast ended, once the lights went out and the music stopped, only emptiness and fatigue remained. And in our modern time, we are not so different. We keep ourselves busy with shopping, with chasing achievements, with laughing among crowds, with posting smiling images on social media. But in those quiet moments, at night, when it is only us with ourselves, the question rises again: is this truly all there is? Why does it still feel incomplete? Why does something still seem missing? And from that very emptiness, if we are brave enough to face it without running away, we will realize it is not meaningless. It is an invitation, a doorway opening to the path back to ourselves, to a peace that does not come from gaining or losing something outside, but from the ability to relax, to accept, and to see clearly the truth present in each breath. And when we listen again to the story of Siddhartha, we understand that his emptiness back then is the same emptiness within us today. Outer abundance has never been a guarantee of inner peace. And the greatest journey of a human life is not about possessing more of the sparkling things out there, but about turning back, listening to the whisper inside our own heart, where peace has always quietly been. One day, when Prince Siddhartha was finally allowed to leave the palace with his attendants for a stroll, the king ordered that everything must be prepared with the utmost care. The road had to be swept clean, the houses along the way decorated, The people who appeared were to be young and healthy, with no trace of sickness or old age. And yet, as if destiny itself had arranged it, in the middle of that lively crowd Siddhartha suddenly saw an old man, a frail figure. His back bent like a question mark, his hair white as frost, his hands trembling on a bamboo cane, his eyes clouded as though covered by mist, his steps slow as if every movement carried immense burden. The sight left Siddhartha frozen. For nearly 30 years in the palace, he had never once seen the marks of aging, never once witnessed the fading of the human body. He whispered to his charioteer, "Who is that man? Why is his body bent? His skin wrinkled, his breath so weak?" And Channa, with a sorrowful tone, replied, "My prince, this is not only one man. This is the fate of every human being. Whoever is born will one day grow old. The body weakens, the hair turns white, the eyes dim, the hands tremble, the back bends. No one can escape it." Those words struck Siddhartha like thunder from a clear sky. His heart shook, for the first time understanding that his own youth and strength were not eternal but only passing. From that very moment, the door of impermanence opened in his mind. He saw clearly that the human body, no matter how protected, no matter how surrounded by luxury, would one day weaken and decay. Old age is an unshakable law. Just as the full moon must wane, just as flowers in full bloom must wither, all things follow the inevitable flow of time. And now, as you hear this part of the story, bring your attention back to your own body. Take a slow breath in. Feel your chest rising. Then breathe out steadily, noticing that every cell is already changing. In this very breath, impermanence is at work. When we breathe in, we are no longer the same person we were 1 second before. When we breathe out, we are already slightly different than the moment just passed. Our body has never stood still. Every strand of hair grows and then falls. Every cell is born and then dies. Smooth skin slowly gives way to wrinkles. This is natural, and if we look directly, without fear, we will see a quiet beauty in impermanence. Because only through change can we cherish the moments of youth, the times of health, the chance to breathe mindfully while we still can. Just like Siddhartha, we can learn to see that aging is not an enemy, but a mirror showing us the value of the present. It invites us to live more fully, to love more deeply, and to let go of the trivial pursuits that waste our days. Siddhartha sat in silence within the chariot, his eyes still fixed on the old man's trembling figure. His heart stirred like never before, as if the whole world had shifted because of this single image. A frail figure that had never before appeared in his sheltered universe. And when Channa's words ended, that old age is a law no one can escape, the prince's heart tightened with a truth too immense. A truth that his father and the magnificent palace had tried to conceal for decades, but which collapsed in an instant. He asked himself, "Will I too grow old? Will this body, this face, this strength also fade away?" And from deep within came the answer, "Yes. No one escapes." In that moment, the pride of youth vanished, leaving behind an ache he had never known, as though the great wall protecting him since childhood had crumbled under the winds of impermanence, revealing the vast, harsh, yet undeniable sky of truth. As the chariot rolled on, the image of that old man remained vivid in his mind, marking the very first awakening to inevitable change. stirring within him a stream of endless questions. If everyone must grow old, then what is the meaning of youth? If all will one day tremble, bend, and grow dim, then what is the true happiness I must seek? And as you listen to this story, try placing yourself within that very experience. Imagine sitting in the chariot beside Siddhartha, facing the sight of an old man for the first time. Let your heart touch the truth that you too are walking on the same path. You are not standing still. You will not remain as you are now. Each passing moment, the body is quietly changing. If you take a deep breath right now, you may feel the youth still lingering within your cells. And as you breathe out, recognize that this very breath will never return. It is gone forever. Just as youth will fade, and if you breathe in again, breathe out again, you will realize that impermanence is not far away. It is present in every breath. Each inhale and exhale marks a change. Each cycle of breathing reminds us that we live within the flow of arising and passing away. And instead of fearing it, we can smile and accept it. Because impermanence is life itself. Thanks to change, flowers bloom, the moon becomes full, the morning arrives. Thanks to aging, we learn to value the moments of youth, of health, of awareness, moments in which we can listen, love, and let go of needless struggles. So the message of the old man is not merely fear of aging. It is a bell of awakening. It is an invitation for us to live more deeply in the present, to savor every breath, every step, every moment we can still feel, so that when old age does come, we will not regret having missed the chance to live fully. Siddhartha sat motionless, as though he no longer heard the sound of horse hooves striking the road or the cheers of the people on both sides. All the noise seemed to fade away, leaving only the image of the trembling old man staggering forward. Etched deeply into his mind, a surge of shock rose within him. No treasure, no song, no music had ever shaken his heart so profoundly. He saw clearly that a human being cannot live in a world made only of beauty, youth, and strength. For one day, everything will change. Smooth skin will wrinkle. Eyes that once shone brightly will grow dim. Voices that once rang strong will tremble weakly. And legs that once walked with power will one day need a small cane for support. When this awareness arose, Siddhartha began to see his palace not as a paradise but as a golden cage hiding the truth. A man-made world his father had built with great effort only to delay the moment of facing reality. And in that very instant, Siddhartha realized that he no longer wished to be sheltered. He longed to see with his own eyes, hear with his own ears, and feel with his own heart the raw truth of life. For only truth could fill the emptiness in his soul. And if you are listening to this story now, pause for a moment. Bring your awareness back to your own body. Take a slow breath in, sensing the youth or maturity still present within you. Then breathe out gently, letting go of the thought that you are immortal, that you will remain forever as you are now. Continue breathing in, silently recognizing that this body is changing day by day, that cells are being born and dying with every moment. Then breathe out again, feeling yourself moving together with the flow of all living beings. And you will come to see more deeply that impermanence is not an enemy, but the law that brings us back to truth. And when we accept impermanence, only then can we truly live fully. Only then can we love our dear ones while they are still here. Only then can we smile at a morning simply because it exists. For we know one day everything will change. And it is precisely because it will change that this moment becomes infinitely precious. And just like Siddhartha, we may begin to ask, if everyone will grow old, if health, beauty, and power will all fade, then what is the lasting value that we should seek? And that very question is the first flame that lights the path toward wisdom, toward freedom beyond the cycle of birth and death. After the first time he saw an old person with his own eyes, Siddhartha's heart had not yet settled when, on another day, he again asked permission to go outside the palace. Once more, the attendants prepared carefully, still trying to hide every trace of suffering from the prince's gaze. But life cannot always be arranged, and as though fate itself had ordained it, while the chariot rolled down a wide road, Siddhartha suddenly saw a man lying curled up by the roadside. His body was frail, his breath broken, his skin pale, his eyes sunken, his whole frame trembling with fever. He moaned in pain, his hands reaching out desperately for a little water, for one more breath to cling to life. The sight horrified Siddhartha. He immediately asked Channa what this was, how a human being could become so pitiful. And Channa replied, "My prince, this is sickness. Whoever has this body will one day fall ill. No one can avoid it." Siddhartha was stunned. His mind reeled, for he had once believed the body to be solid, a foundation for joy. But now he realized it was as fragile as a leaf in the wind. A single poisonous gust, a tiny invisible germ, a small disorder in one organ, any of these could bring the body down. When this truth struck him, Siddhartha felt the world he had thought safe was now as fragile as a bubble. Anxiety flooded his heart, not only for himself but for everyone he loved, his parents, his wife, his child, his friends, his people, for all of them would one day fall ill. All would groan in pain like this man. Fear spread through him like a storm. Yet at the same time, it awakened another truth. This body is never certain, and any happiness placed solely on the body is fragile, like building a house on sand. And now, as you listen, pause again to feel your own body. Take a slow breath in, bringing awareness to your chest as it rises and falls. Then breathe out gently, noticing that whether you are strong or tired, this body is always fragile. We cannot control it completely. Take another breath in, noticing your shoulders, your arms, or some part of your body where there may be slight pain or fatigue. Then breathe out and smile softly in acceptance, not resisting, not pushing away, simply seeing clearly that this body is alive, that it is changing, and that one day it will be sick. Let that truth be your companion instead of your enemy. For sickness is a reminder that we must love this body more. Care for it with mindfulness, but also not cling to it too tightly. For it is not the whole of who we are. And just as Siddhartha did when he saw that sight, we too may ask, if this body is fragile, if health can be lost at any moment, then where is the true refuge? And that very question opens a new doorway, guiding us to understand that there must be something beyond the body, beyond sickness, a source of peace that is not shaken by pain. And it is that realization which can lead us step by step toward wisdom and liberation. Siddhartha sat in silence, his eyes fixed on the suffering body by the road. His heart felt gripped by an unseen hand. The shock this time was even greater than when he had seen the old man. For old age, at least, was something people expected in some distant future. But sickness could strike at any time, without warning, without regard for wealth or poverty, king or commoner. Siddhartha realized that the fragility of the body is an undeniable truth. A single fever, a wound, a strange illness is enough to turn a strong body helpless, to turn a bright face pale and hollow. And this truth shook him deeply. For until now he had believed that the palace, power, and wealth could protect him from all misfortune. But now, looking at the sick man, he saw clearly that nothing can shield a human being from the body's inherent fragility. And if we listen to this story in our modern time, it is not hard to relate. We too have lived through days of widespread illness. We too have seen loved ones suddenly fall sick. We too have felt fear before an invisible virus, worried at every cough, every troubled breath, and in those moments, we realized how fragile health truly is, that no wealth, no power, no fame can guarantee a body that will always remain strong. Everything is temporary. The only thing we can do is to learn to accept, to learn to cherish each moment when we can still breathe in and breathe out. Still smile, still love, and right now, if you take a deep breath in, then slowly exhale, you will realize your body is here, alive, perhaps a little tired, perhaps aching somewhere, but still alive, still striving to keep you in this life. Place your hand on your chest or your belly. Feel your heartbeat and your breath. Then exhale and silently say, I know this body is fragile, but I am grateful it is still alive. When you practice like this, you will feel your worries begin to soften. For instead of resisting, instead of clinging to the idea that you must always be healthy, you learn to smile and accept the truth. Sickness is a natural part of life. Whoever has this body will one day fall ill. And instead of seeing it as an enemy, you can see it as a teacher, a reminder to care for the body with kindness. To pause, to release the frantic pace of living, to listen deeply to your body, to nurture peace from within. And from this very fragility, we learn how to treasure health, how to cherish each moment when we can still walk, still look at the sky, still hold the hand of a loved one. And just like Siddhartha in that time, we too will ask ourselves, if this body can fall ill at any moment, if happiness built only on health is fragile, then where is the true refuge? And that question itself becomes the gateway to a deeper journey, a journey to seek a peace that does not depend on the body, a peace not shaken by pain, a peace that transcends the limits of the flesh. When the image of that sick man kept repeating in his mind, Siddhartha felt his heart stirring like never before. With every step the horse carriage moved forward. With every sound of the noisy streets outside, everything suddenly felt distant, because his heart was haunted by the groans, the heavy breathing, and the pleading eyes of that man. From that very moment, he realized that the body, which seemed so solid, which seemed to be the firm foundation for all pleasures, was in fact extremely fragile. So fragile that just a poisonous breeze or an invisible germ could turn life into an abyss. And this fear was not only about himself, but it spread to everyone he loved. For Siddhartha suddenly saw clearly that his dignified father on the throne, his gentle wife with her loving gaze, and his innocent child smiling so sweetly, none of them could escape this law. One day, they too would suffer in sickness. And that realization left him powerless, aching as if thousands of blades were piercing his heart. When he returned to the palace, The banquets, the dances, the music that once enchanted him suddenly lost their glow. Because he now knew that behind all that splendor, every human being must still face a truth that cannot be avoided. And as you are listening to this story, take a moment to return to yourself. Inhale deeply, and exhale slowly, to recognize that your body too is walking the same fragile path. Today you may be healthy, but you do not know what will happen tomorrow. Today you may be able to run and jump, but a single sudden incident could leave you lying in bed. Instead of panicking, take another breath. Bring your awareness to the part of your body that feels a little sore or uncomfortable. Then exhale, and smile gently at that very sensation, without resisting, without rejecting, because once you can accept fragility, you will no longer be haunted by it. You will learn how to live more fully, to care for your body more attentively, to feel grateful for every day you are still healthy. And you will deeply understand the lesson Siddhartha gradually realized, that sickness is a mirror reflecting the truth. A silent teacher reminding us that every happiness based on the body is fragile, and that we must search for another foundation, one that is stronger. That foundation lies within our consciousness, within wisdom, within dwelling deeply in the present moment. And this recognition itself is the seed that would later grow into the journey of liberation. Another time, when Siddhartha once again left the palace with a thirst to understand the world outside, his carriage suddenly came upon a crowd moving through a narrow street. The sound of weeping rose painfully in the air. Faces were sorrowful, eyes were swollen red. Trembling hands carried bundles of flowers, while circles of incense smoke floated upward as if trying to cling onto something that was slipping away from life. When the procession came closer, Siddhartha was horrified to see a stretcher being carried among them. A white cloth was draped over it. Beneath lay a motionless body, a face cold and lifeless. No longer warm, eyes closed forever, hands already stiff, and for the very first time in his life, Siddhartha came face to face with death. Trembling, he asked Channa, "Who is that person? Why does the body lie there like a piece of wood? Why does he not rise? Why does he no longer breathe? Why does he no longer see?" Channa replied, "My prince, that is a person who has died. Death is something no one can avoid. From the moment we are born, we are already walking toward it. There is no exception. Whoever is born will eventually die." Those words struck Siddhartha like a blade tearing apart the thin veil that the palace's luxury had wrapped around him for so many years. For before that, he could accept that old age was still far away, that sickness might be cured. But death was different. Death was the final end, the irreversible loss, the absolute boundary that everyone, himself, the king, the queen, his wife, his child, even the very body sitting there, would have to cross. This truth shook Siddhartha's heart so violently that the whole world suddenly seemed fragile in his eyes. The grand banquets, the magnificent palaces, the glittering treasures of gold and gems, all of it dissolved into illusions. Because he saw that no matter how tightly one holds on, one will eventually have to let go. Nothing escapes the truth that one day we will all become a cold, lifeless body, just like the man he saw on that stretcher. And right now, as you are listening to this story, can you dare to face that truth? Can you admit that death is not a distant matter, but a part of you? From the very moment we are born, with every breath we inhale and exhale, We are moving one step closer to that final threshold. Instead of being afraid, try inhaling slowly, then exhaling deeply. Imagine that with each breath, you are learning to let go, letting go of burdens, letting go of attachments. Picture this. If today were your last day, what would you still need to hold on to? What words would you still need to say? What love would you still need to give? And as you exhale, whisper to yourself, I accept the truth that I too will die. I will no longer run away. Because when you dare to look straight at death, that is when you truly learn how to live. That is when you begin to cherish each moment together. To treasure every morning you open your eyes and see the sunlight. From then on, death is no longer a terrifying enemy, but becomes a great teacher. A powerful reminder that life is infinitely precious, that time never waits, and that true happiness does not lie in trying to accumulate more, but in the ability to love and let go right in the present. And just like Siddhartha, when witnessing this scene, you may ask yourself, if everyone must die, then what is truly worth seeking in this short life? And that very question is the doorway to wisdom, the turning point that made Siddhartha determined to search for a path of liberation, not only for himself, but for all beings still bound in the endless cycle of birth and death. After seeing the dead body, Siddhartha was shaken so deeply that he could no longer hear the drums and horns of the funeral procession, no longer see the people walking alongside. Everything became blurred before his eyes, leaving only the image of a cold, motionless body. From the depths of his being, one question echoed without end. Then I and all the people I love will one day lie down like this. Then all fame, all wealth, all power, all beauty, all songs and music, everything will sink into dust. So what, in the end, truly has meaning? That question weighed heavily on his heart. But at the same time, it opened within him an emptiness he had never known before. For since childhood, Siddhartha had only known pleasures, only known protection from suffering. Now, for the very first time, he looked directly at the ultimate truth, that every life ends in death. When he returned to the palace, the bright lights, the intoxicating fragrance, the lively music no longer brought him joy. Instead, they only reminded him of illusion, because all of it could vanish in a single blink of impermanence. And right now, as you listen, place your hand on your chest. Inhale deeply, feel your heartbeat, then exhale and realize that each beat is carrying you closer to death. Do not rush into fear. Instead, inhale once more, and exhale as if you are laying down part of your burden. Letting go of a little attachment, a little worry. Imagine that tonight is your very last night. Could you close your eyes with a peaceful smile? Could you look back at your life with gratitude simply for having lived? If there are regrets or sorrows left in your heart, exhale and whisper within yourself, I let go. If there are angers or fears still clinging to you, exhale and softly say, I let go. Because death, whether it comes sooner or later, will force us to let go of everything. So why not learn to release right now, so that each day we are alive may be lighter, freer? As you continue breathing, you will see that facing death is not about drowning in fear, but about learning how to cherish life. It is about cherishing the present moment, cherishing every embrace, every smile, every tear. It is about cherishing even this body, though it will one day dissolve. And just like Siddhartha, you will realize that death is a great teacher, A teacher who speaks no words yet awakens us deeply to the truth that time never waits. That love cannot be postponed. That the path of liberation must be sought here and now, before it is too late. From this awakening, from this direct encounter with death, Siddhartha began to ignite the determination to leave behind palaces and treasures, to search for the path of liberation, a path that transcends death, a path toward discovering the unborn, the undying, within himself. And that journey is also an invitation for each of us, that when we dare to look straight at death, we truly begin to live. From the moment Siddhartha witnessed that lifeless body, he could no longer rest peacefully in the luxurious palace. The image of a person who had once lived, once laughed, once loved, now reduced to a cold body covered with a white cloth, haunted him with every breath, with every blink of his eyes. It made him realize that death was not distant, not reserved for someone else, but was the very destiny awaiting him and everyone he cherished. When that thought arose, the whole world in his eyes seemed to shatter. The magnificent palace would eventually crumble to ashes. The power of his father the king would one day end. The beauty of Princess Yasodhara would fade. The innocent laughter of his son Rahula would also fall silent. Everything he once held onto as solid was revealed to be nothing more than foam drifting upon the ocean of life. In that bewilderment, Siddhartha felt even more deeply that death was the greatest teacher. For just one true encounter with it can awaken us to the preciousness of life. It makes us understand that there is no time worth wasting on anger, on jealousy, on endless competition. And as you hear this story, close your eyes for a moment. Inhale deeply, then exhale fully, and imagine that you are lying on your own bed at the end of your life. Around you, there is no more noise, no more fighting, no more calculating, only a body slowly letting go. You will see that money, fame, possessions cannot go with you. Only the memories you have lived, the love you have given, the moments of awareness you have touched remain. And then, you will see clearly what is most precious, this very moment, this very breath, the ability to love and to be grateful right now. So when you take another breath, whisper to yourself, I am not afraid of death, because I have lived. Release every burden, release every tie, and you will realize that facing death does not bring despair. On the contrary, it allows us to live more fully. Because we know that every day we can still wake up. Every time we can still see the sunlight. Every moment we can still touch our loved ones. Every beat of our heart we can still hear. Each of these is an immeasurable gift. And just like Siddhartha, from witnessing death, you too can begin to plant within your heart a seed of searching. A yearning to find a foundation beyond birth and death. A path not swept away by impermanence. That very seed will carry you further. Into a deeper journey. The journey of finding true liberation for yourself. After days haunted by old age, by sickness, and by death, Siddhartha grew heavier in spirit. He no longer found joy in music, in festivals, in sweet wine, in the laughter of maidens. Even when holding his son Rahula in his arms, his heart still rang with sorrowful bells, because he knew that his son too would age, would fall ill, would die. In the midst of these reflections, one day he left the city once again. This time, instead of witnessing scenes of suffering as before, he saw an extraordinary person, an ascetic, dressed in a simple robe, his face thin but his eyes shining. his steps calm, every gesture light yet steady, as if no longer caught in the whirl of life. Astonished, Siddhartha asked Channa, "Who is this man? Why is he not like the others out there?" Channa replied, "That is a monk. One who has left behind family and pleasure in order to seek the path beyond suffering." In that very moment, Siddhartha's heart lit up like a torch. For after 3 dark encounters, at last he saw a way forward, a ray of hope that suffering was not an unchanging fate, that there could be a path to transcend birth and death. From the eyes of that ascetic, Siddhartha felt a freedom, a serenity he had never seen in anyone, not even in the palace full of luxury. And from that, he understood, suffering is not an end, but a doorway to wisdom. For without old age, without sickness, without death, he would never have felt the desire to search. He would never have been able to see the release radiating from the slow, steady steps of one who has renounced the world. And as you listen to this story, take a deep breath, then exhale slowly. Imagine that you too are walking on that path. A path where every step is a letting go of fear, letting go of anxiety, letting go of the need to control everything. Then feel the lightness spreading through your heart, the stillness opening in your mind. You will understand, as Siddhartha understood, that the path of liberation is not far away. It begins right here, with the choices of each moment. You can live as someone swept away by greed, anger, and ignorance, or you can live as a practitioner, still in this world but each day learning how to return to yourself. Each day planting a seed of awareness. And as you continue to breathe, you will see more clearly that the monk Siddhartha once saw is not only a figure on the street long ago, but also a symbol of what lies within you, the capacity for freedom, the capacity for awakening, the capacity to see through suffering and find peace. That is the message Siddhartha brought back from the 4th encounter, that even though life is filled with aging, sickness, and death, there is always a path that leads us beyond suffering, if only we have the courage to walk it. When Siddhartha saw the ascetic dressed in a patched robe, his face without any paint or adornment, his bare feet leaving imprints on the dusty road, he realized that within such a simple appearance radiated a kind of freedom he had never witnessed in the golden palaces. It was a freedom that did not come from power, did not come from wealth, did not come from romance, but from an inner life that had learned to let go. He followed each step of the ascetic and saw that every step was slow yet steady. Every breath seemed to merge with the earth and the sky. The ascetic's gaze did not wander outward in search of anything, but appeared to look deeply within. And from that very bearing, a new faith arose in Siddhartha's heart, the faith that a human being could live differently, could choose another path, a path not bound by pleasure or suffering, but one resting in serenity. And within himself, a reminder arose. This is the path I must seek. And you, listening to this story, can also walk together with Siddhartha in that moment. Try placing yourself in the image of a practitioner walking on a dirt path. Each step slowing down. Inhale, knowing you are stepping. Exhale, smiling at that step. Inhale, feeling your foot touch the earth. Exhale, whisper softly, I have arrived. Inhale once more. Exhale gently. And say within yourself, I am at peace. For in each step like this, you too can taste the peace that Siddhartha once felt, a peace that does not depend on external circumstances. but blooms from full presence in the now. When Siddhartha saw the image of the ascetic, he understood that aging, sickness, and death were not the final end, but the calling that urges human beings to walk the path of awakening. For without aging, without sickness, without death, no one would ever long for liberation. And that harsh truth, in fact, opened up a ray of light, an opportunity to enter wisdom, to learn how to see life without fear, without running away, daring instead to face its very essence. From that day, Siddhartha began to nurture a determination to seek out wise teachers, to learn from the path of the ascetics, so that he himself could discover the truth that transcends birth and death. And you, as you take another deep breath in and a slow breath out, can imagine yourself walking with Siddhartha, stepping out of the invisible chains of modern life, out of pressure, out of endless desires and fears. Each step becomes a step of freedom. Each breath becomes a breath of liberation. And you will see more clearly that the ascetic is not merely a figure from the past, but a symbol of a path within you, a path that can lead you out of exhaustion, out of the whirlpool of life. And if you have the courage to step upon it, you will touch the freedom Siddhartha once saw shining in the eyes of that ascetic. Siddhartha watched the figure of the ascetic slowly disappear into the dusty road, his heart trembling as though he had just found a doorway out of a labyrinth. For after 3 encounters with old age, sickness, and death, his heart had been cornered against the wall with no escape, seeing before him only an abyss of suffering that every being must walk through. But then, the image of the ascetic walking calmly like a quiet river made him understand that within this endless cycle there was still a way out. A path that a human being could choose in order to escape the grip of impermanence. This realization awakened Siddhartha like a thirsty traveler suddenly finding a clear stream. His eyes, once darkened, now brightened. In his heart surged a hope he had never felt before, that life was not only drifting between happiness and sorrow, between birth and decay, but could also be a journey of returning to inner freedom. And you, listening right now, can walk with Siddhartha on that very path. Relax your shoulders, take a deep breath in, feel your feet touch the ground, exhale and smile. Imagine yourself in a simple robe, walking through a quiet forest. No one is pushing you. No one is demanding anything of you. Each step is a homecoming. Each breath is a release. At that moment, you will understand the serenity radiating from the ascetic, a serenity that cannot be bought, cannot be borrowed, but only attained when you dare to let go of what is not real. When you dare to live simply and deeply. And Siddhartha, in that instant, realized clearly that suffering does not exist to drive human beings into despair, but to awaken them. Aging, sickness, and death are not walls that block life, but doors inviting us into wisdom. And if we have the courage, we will discover that the ascetic does not only exist out there, but is also a hidden figure within us, a symbol of liberation always present, waiting for us to take the very first step on the path of awakening. Siddhartha stood in silence for a long time, watching each slow step of the ascetic, and within him arose an indescribable stirring. For while all others out there were still caught in the endless cycle of pleasure, ambition, fear, and attachment, this ascetic was like a star breaking away from the dark night, shining with a light that was not dazzling but steady, not blinding but illuminating. And suddenly Siddhartha understood that true freedom does not lie in palaces filled with endless luxuries, does not lie in songs, in power, or in ultimate authority, but lies in a heart that knows how to let go. And it is this letting go that gives rise to a completely different way of living, a serenity he had never once found among jewels and treasures. From that moment, a seed was planted in his heart, the seed of a new aspiration, a new path. And you, listening to these words, can also feel that aspiration within yourself right now. Take a deep breath in, exhale, and imagine yourself placing gentle steps on a red dirt path. Around you are green trees. Above you is an open sky. With each step, you feel the solidity of the earth beneath you. With each breath, you feel as if the vast sky is offering itself to you. And then you will see that even in the modern world, full of pressure and worry, in this very moment, just by letting go of a little attachment, letting go of a little expectation, you too can taste the flavor of freedom. And that is what Siddhartha realized when he saw the image of the ascetic. That suffering is not the final destiny, but only a step leading us higher. A step that allows us to see the wide horizon ahead. That aging, sickness, and death do not end life, but end illusion, opening instead the gate of wisdom. And it is only this wisdom that grants us true peace. Standing there, Siddhartha's heart overflowed with a quiet determination that he would find the path the ascetic was walking. For only that path could help him, and countless others, break free from bondage, overcome the ultimate fear, and arrive at unshakable peace. In that moment, Siddhartha did not just see a man wearing a patched, simple robe. He also saw within that man a reflection of a capacity sleeping deep inside himself, the capacity to step out of the endless cycle of birth and death. It was as if he could clearly hear a calling rising from the depths of his own being, a calling that could never be silenced, urging him to walk, to seek, to leave behind the false safety of comfort in order to enter a greater truth. The wind drifted gently through the trees. The sun tilted across the dusty road. Golden specks of dust rose in the footsteps of the ascetic. All of it came together like a painting with one unmistakable message. The path of liberation is not a myth. It is here, right in front of your eyes, present in each step, in each breath, in every serene gaze. And you, listening now, can also practice to touch that very truth. Sit comfortably, or if you can, stand and take a few slow steps. Inhale deeply and silently know you are inhaling. Exhale gently and silently know you are exhaling. Inhale again, place your foot down, and feel the solid contact of the earth supporting you. Exhale and let go of all the burdens on your shoulders. Take another step. As you breathe in, whisper in your heart, I am stepping. As you breathe out, whisper, I am at peace. Inhale and smile softly at yourself. Exhale and whisper, I am home. In these steps you will see more clearly what Siddhartha once saw. That freedom is not a distant theory, but something you can touch right now. In this very moment, if only you are willing to return, to pause, and to let each step become a doorway into peace. And just as Siddhartha realized, you too will understand that the ascetic was not merely a man passing through the city, but a mirror reflecting the awakened potential within all of us. The potential to let go of the chains of desire and fear, to walk into absolute serenity. The deeper you go into this practice, the more clearly you will see that suffering is not the end. It is a staircase that allows you to climb higher. Aging, sickness, and death are not tragic destinies, but reminders to live more fully, to love more deeply, to awaken more clearly in each moment. And that was the very moment Siddhartha made his decision that he could no longer live as before. That the path he must choose was the very path the ascetic had revealed, the path of letting go, of seeking wisdom, of liberation from endless suffering. That night, in the stillness of the palace, Siddhartha sat quietly alone in the vast chamber. Moonlight streamed through the lattice window, falling upon his contemplative face. He knew clearly that his heart no longer belonged to banquets, to music, or to words of praise. After witnessing the 4 encounters, he could never return to being a prince at ease in pleasures. He saw clearly that behind all glory lay the shadows of aging, sickness, and death. Only the image of the ascetic still echoed in his heart like a guiding torch. He knew the time had come to walk away, to search with his own steps for the path of liberation for all. Not to remain hidden behind towering palace walls. Siddhartha moved quietly to where his wife and son lay sleeping. His eyes overflowed with love, yet shimmered with the sorrow of parting. He longed to lift his child into his arms one more time. But he feared that Rahula would awaken, and the cry of the child might bind his steps, perhaps stopping his great vow altogether. So instead, he bent down, gazed at his son, and engraved that image deep within his heart. Then he turned away with steps heavy yet resolute. For the last time, Siddhartha wore the robe of a prince. He walked to the palace courtyard, where his loyal attendant Channa and his horse Kanthaka were waiting. The night sky was silent, the stars above shining as witnesses to a great turning point, the moment a man was about to leave everything behind in order to search for truth. And you, listening now, imagine yourself in that very palace. Inhale deeply, feeling the warmth and safety of a home. Then exhale, and imagine letting it all go, releasing possessions, releasing fame, releasing even the dearest of attachments, to step into a journey with no known end. You will feel your heart tremble like Siddhartha's did that night. For the truth is, everyone in life must one day face parting, must one day let go. And it is this letting go that opens up a vast new space for us to discover who we truly are. Siddhartha rode through the night, passing fields, rivers, and forests. At last, when dawn's light began to rise, he stopped. He removed the jeweled ornaments, the splendid garments, and handed them back to Channa. Then he embraced his faithful companion, whispering a farewell. Kanthaka let out a long cry, tears glistening at its eyes, as if it understood this would be the last time it carried its master. And then Siddhartha stepped onto the dusty road, wearing only a simple robe. His bare feet touched the cool earth, but in his heart, a fire was burning, a fire of determination to find the path out of suffering. And now, as you hear this, close your eyes, inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Imagine yourself too leaving behind all burdens, all invisible chains of life, to walk upon a new path, a path of freedom, of peace, of wisdom. For this was the moment Siddhartha chose, the moment that defined his life and brought light to millions in the centuries to come. After leaving the palace, Siddhartha walked deeper into the forest. The path was covered with fallen leaves, Sunlight pierced through the treetops, creating shimmering beams, like invisible hands guiding his way. The songs of forest birds echoed. The wind rustled through the leaves as though playing a symphony in the vast wilderness. In that solitude, Siddhartha found a feeling both strange and familiar. He was no longer a prince surrounded by servants, no longer at feasts of luxury, no longer clothed in jewels and silks. There was only his breath, moving in rhythm with the life of the forest. And in that silence, he began the journey of seeking out ascetics, those who had long left worldly life to delve into the depths of spiritual contemplation. Siddhartha came upon a group of ascetics meditating by the riverbank. He observed their thin bodies, their tattered robes, but their eyes shone with a light that seemed to pierce through the soul. Standing before them, Siddhartha felt the presence of a life completely different, no longer based on power, no longer enslaved to desire, but a life devoted to practice, seeking the ultimate truth. With humility, Siddhartha asked to become their disciple, to learn their way. The ascetics accepted and taught him methods of meditation, how to guide the breath, how to observe thoughts, how to let go of craving. Day after day, Siddhartha meditated beneath the trees, inhaling slowly, exhaling gently. At times, he contemplated his body as a river, always changing. At times, he watched his thoughts arise and dissolve. He began to taste the deep states of meditation as the ascetics had described. His mind became still, like a calm lake. Joy and peace spread through his entire being. And you, listening now, can also practice in the same way. Inhale slowly and know that you are inhaling. Exhale deeply and relax your whole body. Imagine yourself sitting under the shade of an ancient tree. The wind brushes gently past your ears. Your breath and the breath of the earth feel as though they are one. Then you will see clearly that happiness does not lie outside, but is present in every mindful moment. This was what nourished Siddhartha in those first years of spiritual practice. Yet he also realized that even though he had reached profound states of peace and meditation, complete liberation was still not attained. In his heart, one question remained: how can one break free from the cycle of birth and death? How can one uproot suffering at its very source? That question drove Siddhartha to go further, to commit even more deeply. He chose the path of severe asceticism, a practice followed by many seekers of his time. It was the belief that by denying the body, by starving and tormenting it, one could release the mind and attain ultimate freedom. Siddhartha decided to try this path with unwavering determination, to test for himself the very limits of body and mind. Since leaving the life of a prince, Siddhartha had vowed to try every path that might lead to liberation. After years of meditative training with ascetics, without finding the final answer to human suffering, he turned toward extreme austerity. He joined 5 other ascetics in a strict discipline. He began to fast, day after day. At first, he survived on water and a few grains of sesame or rice. Gradually, he reduced even that, until his body was skin and bone, his belly sunken, his veins visible, his breath fragile. At times, he collapsed by the river from exhaustion. There were moments when a single gust of wind could nearly topple him, like a dry leaf about to fall. Yet Siddhartha endured, holding fast to a powerful belief that by reaching the very edge of suffering, he would touch the truth. But after many years of hardship, He saw that even as his body wasted away and his willpower conquered countless limits, enlightenment had not appeared. He remained bound within the cycle of craving. He suddenly realized that tormenting the body only brought useless suffering. It was like the strings of a lute: if too tight, they break; if too loose, they make no sound. The path of liberation could not be found in extremes. It was not in drowning in pleasure, nor in destroying the body. It had to be the middle way, a path of balance, where both body and mind are nourished so that wisdom can arise. When Siddhartha understood this truth, he chose to abandon the path of self-mortification. He returned to eating, regaining strength. The 5 ascetics left him in disappointment, but Siddhartha was more resolute than ever. He knew that only with a body strong enough, and a mind clear enough, could he go deeper into meditation and discover the truth. And you, listening now, can sense this truth in your own life. Inhale deeply, then exhale softly. You will see that a healthy body is the foundation for a steady mind. The path to peace is not in punishing yourself, nor in indulgence, but in listening, in caring, in walking in balance. This was the lesson Siddhartha deeply absorbed after 6 long years of severe ascetic practice in the forest. A lesson that brought him to the next great turning point: to sit in meditation beneath the Bodhi tree, to enter the final battle with the darkness of the mind, and to awaken to complete enlightenment. After 6 years of harsh ascetic practice, Siddhartha was utterly exhausted, both in body and in spirit. Yet it was from this exhaustion that he realized the truth. This was not the path to liberation. One morning by the riverside, as he collapsed from hunger and thirst, a village girl named Sujata brought him a bowl of sweet milk porridge. With each sip, Siddhartha felt his strength slowly return. But more important than the strength was a deep awakening in his heart. The body must be nourished in order for the mind to be clear and free. This was the very beginning of the middle way, not the extreme of indulgence, not the extreme of self-denial, but the path of balance. After regaining his strength, Siddhartha resolved to find a quiet place where he would meditate until he discovered the ultimate truth. Rising only when he had attained it, he went to the foot of the Bodhi tree by the Naranjara river, spread grass as a seat, and sat down with a calm and steady heart. He inhaled deeply, fully aware of breathing in. He exhaled slowly, fully aware of breathing out. Then he made a solemn vow: even if this body were to perish, even if flesh and bone should waste away, he would not rise from that place until he had realized liberation. From that moment, a great inner battle began. The darkness of desire, anger, fear, doubt, and illusion rose up like violent waves. In legend, these forces are called the armies of Mara. Appearing to shake his determination, they hurled arrows of poison, conjured images of pleasure, spread fear, but every attack dissolved upon touching the radiant circle of mindfulness flowing from Siddhartha's heart. He sat unmoved like a mountain, his breath slow and steady like a river. That night, his mind opened wide. He contemplated and saw clearly the endless cycle of birth and death. He saw the law of karma guiding beings through countless paths. He saw that the root of suffering was ignorance and craving. And he saw that liberation lay in uprooting those very chains. When the morning star rose upon the horizon, its first light fell upon the earth. And at that very instant, Wisdom burst forth in Siddhartha's mind. He attained complete enlightenment. He became the Buddha, the awakened one. From that moment, the path of the Noble Eightfold Way was revealed to humanity, the path of understanding, compassion, and liberation. And you, listening now, can touch that miracle even in this very moment. Inhale slowly, aware that you are alive. Exhale deeply, aware that you are free in this present moment. Imagine sitting beneath the Bodhi tree. Your whole body relaxed, your mind quiet. Each breath is a step on the path of awakening. Each heartbeat is a reminder that truth and peace are not far away, but right here, where you are. If you can let go of fear, of worry, of craving, you will realize that happiness is already present, revealed in each breath, just as the Buddha realized on that radiant morning, the morning when all humanity was lit by the torch of wisdom and compassion. The story of Siddhartha's enlightenment under the Bodhi tree is not just a sacred event in history. It is also a mirror reflecting each of our lives. For who has not, at some time, lived in comfort yet felt an emptiness inside? Who has not seen the four signs, the aging of parents, the sickness of loved ones or of ourselves, the loss of someone we cared for, and the yearning to find a way beyond suffering? The lesson the Buddha left is the middle way, the path of mindfulness in each breath. And if you are listening right now, reflect for yourself. What are you running after? Are you chasing wealth, fame, or status? Things that seem to promise happiness but leave you only with more anxiety, more restlessness, more loneliness? Just like Prince Siddhartha once did. But you do not need to abandon your family or retreat to the forest in order to find peace. The path of practice is not in some faraway place. It is here, in this very moment, when you breathe in and know you are alive. When you breathe out and release tension, you are already touching the deep happiness that no material possession can give. Try inhaling slowly and feel the cool air entering your chest. Exhale and release the weight from your shoulders. Just like that, you have taken the first steps on the very path the Buddha once walked. And remember, impermanence is always present. Everything changes with each passing moment. If you cherish impermanence, you will no longer cling to what cannot be held. You will love your parents more deeply as you see them grow old. You will care for your body more carefully as you see its fragility. You will live more fully in every moment with those you love, knowing that death may come at any time. Then suffering will no longer be a darkness that consumes you, but a lamp that guides you back to awareness. The Buddha's final teaching to us is this: true happiness is not in the future, not in the past, but right here, right now, in the breath you are taking. And you, listening now, can practice this anytime. When you wake in the morning, inhale deeply and smile with gratitude that you are still alive. When you walk, place each step gently and feel the earth supporting you. When you eat, chew slowly and taste each flavor. When you speak, listen deeply instead of rushing to reply. Then you will see that life itself is a miracle. That peace is already here. You will realize that you too are walking on the path of awakening, not as some distant legend, but as a living reality within you. And that is the greatest gift of the Buddha's story. The reminder to return to the breath, to return to the present, to return to yourself, and to find the peace that has never left you. The journey from a prince living in luxury to an awakened being beneath the Bodhi tree is a timeless story. It is not only history, not only religion, but a mirror reflecting the life of each of us. For everyone has their own palace, perhaps a comfortable house, a promising career, or material pleasures. Yet there are still moments when the soul feels empty. Just as Siddhartha once felt, everyone has also encountered the four signs: the aging of parents, the sickness of loved ones or oneself, the loss of someone dear, and the longing to find a path beyond suffering. Just as Siddhartha once longed, everyone has also tried extremes, either indulging in pleasure or forcing themselves into harsh discipline, only to discover that true happiness lies in balance. In the middle way the Buddha revealed. And now, as you listen, let this story be a lamp shining upon your own path, reminding you that peace is not far away. It is present in every breath, every step, every heartbeat. You do not need to abandon everything and retreat into the forest. For the ground of awakening is already within your heart. You need only pause, breathe in, breathe out in mindfulness, and you are walking the very same path the Buddha once walked. In this moment, let your body fully relax. Close your eyes gently. Let your shoulders drop. Let your hands rest easily. Allow your breath to slow, deep and steady. Imagine yourself sitting beneath the Bodhi tree. A soft breeze moves through the leaves. Moonlight falls gently upon you. You can hear your heartbeat like a drum, joining the rhythm of the universe. And in that moment, all worries, all burdens dissolve, leaving only a deep stillness flowing through your body and mind. Let each breath carry you deeper into calm. Each release carry you closer to rest, a rest of peace. A rest where your mind is bathed in the light of compassion and wisdom. As you drift into this sleep of ease, remember, you are not alone. You are continuing a great journey. A journey walked by millions. The journey of awakening, of returning, of finding peace within yourself. And so, you will sleep deeply, peacefully, and when you awaken tomorrow morning, you will carry within your heart a new energy, the energy of understanding and love, to step into a new day with lightness and steadiness. As if you too had just stepped out from beneath the shade of the Bodhi tree. In today's modern world, humanity seems to have more conveniences than ever before, yet at the same time carries deeper wounds of the soul than ever before. We have smartphones that connect us instantly to the world, yet we feel lonely even in our own rooms. We have cities glowing with lights, yet inside we feel dark and empty. We may have thousands of online friends, but at times not one true listener. It is here that the teaching of mindfulness becomes a bridge, a medicine for the broken heart. Mindfulness teaches us to return to ourselves, to sit down, to breathe in and breathe out. It teaches us to listen to our body, to recognize emotions, to embrace our pain without judgment. And if you are listening now, try feeling this for yourself. Close your eyes, place a hand over your heart, breathe slowly, and whisper to yourself, I am here. I am safe. I am enough. In that very moment, you begin a journey of healing, not with expensive medicines, not with complicated therapies, but with your own breath and presence. You will feel a space opening in your heart, where anxiety softens, tension melts, fear steps back, for your mind is no longer running toward an uncertain future or drowning in a regretful past, but resting here, in the present, in the living moment. Mindfulness is also a remedy for the crises of our age. When you are crushed by the weight of work, simply pause, step away from the screen, inhale deeply, Exhale fully. Feel the breath moving through your lungs, your chest, your very cells. You will feel the stress melt away like ice beneath the sun. Or when conflict arises with someone you love, instead of reacting with anger, take one mindful breath and look again. You will see that behind the harsh words is a wound, a suffering not yet healed. And then compassion will arise in your heart. That compassion becomes a medicine, not only for you, but for the relationship itself. For mindfulness is not only healing for you, it is healing for all the connections around you. In a society that teaches us to seek happiness by having more, faster, stronger, mindfulness teaches us to find happiness by stopping, by having less, by slowing down, by being gentler. Only then can we hear the silent call of the soul. Only then can we see that peace is not outside, but always within us. And now, let yourself experience one deep moment of mindfulness. Inhale, knowing you are alive. Exhale, smiling gently at yourself. Inhale, recognizing sadness. Exhale, embracing it with kindness. Inhale, feeling your heart still beating. Exhale, grateful for this gift. And breath by breath, moment by moment, healing drops gently into your wounds. Then you will realize that mindfulness is not a distant philosophy, not a rigid doctrine, but a living practice, deeply healing, profoundly real. It is the gift the Buddha left to humanity, so that even thousands of years later, among skyscrapers, among rushing traffic, among the hurried pace of modern life, we can still sit down, breathe, and rediscover peace within ourselves. In the most intimate relationships of human life, whether in love, in family bonds, or in friendship, we often think that simply being present for each other is enough. Yet reality shows us that presence without mindfulness easily becomes distance. For there are times when two people sit side by side, yet one is lost in the screen of a phone, and the other is trapped in their own thoughts. Loneliness can exist even within love. Misunderstanding can grow even within family. Cracks can silently spread even within friendships that seem unbreakable. Here, mindfulness is the key that helps us return to one another. When we breathe in and truly know that the other person is there. When we breathe out and smile as we listen deeply. Then love is nourished, understanding is awakened, and compassion grows larger. Imagine, on an ordinary evening, instead of each person being buried in their own work, you sit down, look deeply into the eyes of your beloved, take one mindful breath, and say, "I am truly here for you." Such a simple act can heal distances that words cannot. For love does not need grand gestures, it needs full presence. It needs genuine listening. If in a family, parents can sit with their children with a mindful heart, without judgment, without imposition, only listening with understanding, then those children will grow up knowing what true love is. And they will learn how to love without harming others. If in friendship, you can pause for a moment, instead of reacting in anger when your friend speaks harshly, and take a mindful breath to see the pain behind those words, then the friendship will endure. And in romantic love, when the pressures of life weigh heavily on both partners, one mindful minute, one embrace and awareness, one breath together can change the whole atmosphere. Right now, as you listen, you can practice this. Close your eyes. Think of someone you love. Inhale, and send them the energy of peace. Exhale, and whisper silently, "May you be well." Inhale, and picture them smiling. Exhale, and feel the love expanding within your heart. Each breath becomes an invisible letter of love, carried to them no matter the distance. Then you will see that mindful love is not only about keeping a relationship alive. It is about transforming love into a path of understanding and compassion, where both people grow, both people heal, both people walk in awareness. And you will realize that love itself is a spiritual practice, a way of living the Dharma in daily life. For every time you love with mindfulness, you are not only bringing beauty to one person, but also contributing to the beauty of this whole world. In the busy cycle of modern life, work seems to occupy nearly all our time. From early morning, we rush into meetings, emails, reports, and by evening we are still entangled in unfinished plans. We forget that we are not machines, we are human beings. With breath, with emotions, with a deep longing to live in peace. Yet the pressure of work often drives us to chase after achievement, to seek recognition, leaving us no space to listen to ourselves. Here, mindfulness opens the door to a new way of working, a new way of living. It is not about abandoning work, nor running away from responsibility. It is about working with awareness, so that each action carries presence, so that every moment becomes a meditation. You can begin with the smallest things. When you open your computer, inhale and recognize that you are beginning a new day of work. Exhale and send into your task the energy of focus and calm. When writing an email, pause for a few seconds. Read your words carefully, so that each sentence becomes a stream of sincerity instead of a hasty reaction. When in a tense meeting, notice your breath, so that you are not swept away by arguments, and you can keep clarity in your view. If you bring mindfulness into your work, you will realize that effectiveness does not come from rushing faster, but from walking more steadily. It does not come from stress, but from clarity. And not only in work, even the small activities of daily life can be opportunities for practice. When washing dishes, truly feel the water flowing across your hands. When walking, truly hear the sound of your footsteps touching the earth. When eating, truly taste each bite without letting your mind wander. Each of these moments becomes a resting place, an oasis in the desert of busyness. They help us recover. They remind us that life is not a race, but a journey. On that journey, mindfulness allows us to enjoy the scenery along the way, to nourish our soul as we fulfill our tasks. Then work is no longer a burden. Life is no longer a chain of stress, but a stream of meditation, a chance to live the Buddhist teaching right in the marketplace. Enlightenment is not only in the mountains and forests, it is present in the office, in the kitchen, on the very path you walk each day. From this, you can live not only with outward success, but also with inner peace. In life, no one can escape suffering. As the Buddha taught, suffering is a universal truth. We may hide it beneath pleasures, cover it with wealth, or try to forget it with endless distractions. But sooner or later, suffering comes, through loss, sickness, separation, disappointment, or loneliness. The important thing is not how to avoid suffering, but how to walk through it with mindfulness, so that suffering does not become an abyss that swallows us, but a doorway opening into wisdom and healing. When we practice mindfulness, we allow ourselves to face pain, to breathe with it, to embrace it instead of running away. For when we run away, the pain grows stronger, but when we return and recognize it, it begins to transform. If your heart feels heavy from a wound of love, instead of rushing to fill it with another relationship, sit quietly. Place your hand on your chest. Inhale and say silently, "Hello, my sorrow. I know you are here." Exhale and say, "I will take care of you." Each breath becomes a gentle embrace sent to yourself, and you will see the pain, once like a stone weighing you down, slowly melting away. If you have lost someone dear, instead of forcing yourself to forget, sit down. Inhale and feel the love that still remains. Exhale and feel gratitude for the memories that still live in your heart. Then their departure is no longer an endless wound, but a chance for you to learn about love, about impermanence, about cherishing every moment. Even childhood wounds, painful memories that seem impossible to heal, can be touched by mindfulness. Each time you return to the present, you create a safe space where the inner child can be comforted, where the cries of long ago can finally be heard. In the light of mindfulness, the past is no longer a chain that binds you, but becomes part of your path of growth. You will realize that suffering is not the enemy, it is the great teacher. For through suffering we learn compassion. Through suffering we come to value happiness. Through suffering we grow in wisdom. And in this moment, you can try a simple practice. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply and bring to mind a pain you are carrying. Do not push it away. Do not hate it. Simply name it with tenderness. Exhale and imagine embracing yourself as you would a dear friend. In that embrace, pain is no longer a burden but becomes a seed. And if that seed is watered with mindfulness, with breath, with love, one day it will bloom into strength, into understanding, into a flower of compassion. Then you will know deeply that healing does not mean erasing the past. It means learning to walk with it, with an awakened heart, so that even on the rough ground of suffering, your steps can still release the fragrance of peace and freedom. Throughout a long day, we face countless pressures: work, family, relationships, and even the hidden worries that weigh on the soul. And sometimes, when night falls, even though the body is weary, the mind still spins restlessly, chasing endless streams of thought. Sleep then becomes shallow, heavy, or even far away. Yet the Buddha once taught that mindful breathing can bring us home, can anchor the mind in the body, and that it is the very doorway to peaceful sleep. For sleep is not a battle to force the eyes shut, nor is it about making ourselves sleep. It is about releasing, letting go, allowing the body and mind to naturally sink into rest. Right now, you can practice with me. Lie down, or sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Feel the cool air entering through your nose, flowing down your throat, chest, and belly. Then slowly exhale, as if all your worries are dissolving into the open space around you. Inhale again, and feel your shoulders releasing. Exhale, and let fall all that still burdens you. Inhale, and sense your face softening, your eyes lightening, your forehead relaxing. Exhale, and feel your whole body sinking gently into a soft cloud-like bed. Each breath becomes a stream carrying you back to serenity. And if thoughts still wander through the mind, you do not need to push them away, nor hold onto them. Simply smile, inhale and whisper silently, "Hello, I know you are here." Exhale and whisper, "I release you." Gradually, thoughts drift away like clouds in the sky, leaving behind the vast, quiet, clear space of your awareness. You may feel as though you are lying under a starlit sky, with a cool breeze brushing past, with the gentle sound of night insects singing. Everything becomes a lullaby of nature. And in that state, sleep is no longer something to seek. It is a gift that comes naturally when body and mind truly let go. You will also discover that mindfulness not only helps us lie awake during the day, it also helps us sleep deeply at night. For each mindful breath is medicine for the nervous system, and each moment of release brings the mind back into balance. When you allow sleep to arrive naturally through mindfulness, the next morning you will awaken with a body full of energy, a mind clear and calm, and a heart at ease, ready to greet a new day with a peaceful smile. My dear friend, we have traveled a long journey together, from Siddhartha's first steps in the splendid palace, through the 4 sights of awakening, his renunciation, his search for truth, his years of asceticism, his enlightenment beneath the Bodhi tree, and the opening of the Dharma. And from those ancient lessons, we have discovered their living application in our modern lives, in love, in work, in suffering, and even in sleep. By now, perhaps you have realized that Siddhartha's journey is not only the story of a Buddha in history, but also the story of each of us. For we too have lived in our own palaces of comfort and still felt emptiness. We too have faced aging, sickness, and death. We too have longed for a path through suffering to peace. The most important message the Buddha left us is this: peace is not far away. It is right here, in each breath. In each moment we pause and listen to ourselves. And right now, you can try once more. Inhale slowly. Feel the air entering your body. Exhale gently, releasing everything that still weighs on you. Inhale, and feel that you are alive. Exhale, and smile at life. Each breath brings you closer to stillness, closer to restful sleep. In that sleep, your mind is healed, your body is restored, and when morning comes, you will awaken with a light heart, a clear mind, a peaceful smile, ready to continue walking the path of mindfulness. For the journey of practice never ends. It continues day by day, breath by breath, moment by moment, as you live fully with yourself and with the world around you. And before you sink deeper into sleep, let me offer you this blessing. May you rest in peace. May your body be strong. May your spirit be free. May each of your nights of sleep become a blooming flower in the quiet garden of mindfulness. And may you awaken carrying that fragrance into the lives of those around you, so that not only you, but the whole world, may touch the peace of mindfulness. My dear friend, today's journey may have carried you through many layers of feeling, from the ancient stories of Siddhartha to the simple practices for modern life. And I believe that if you are listening to these last words, the seed of mindfulness has already been planted in your heart. Each day, with just a few mindful breaths, a few pauses, a gentle smile when you remember the teachings, that seed will grow. It will become a Bodhi tree within you, giving you a place to lean on in the storms of life. And if this journey has brought you peace, I warmly invite you to continue walking together with the Silent Soul Garden channel. Every subscription, every little bell you turn on, is like a small candle added to this quiet garden, not only for yourself, but for many others who may also find their way back to peace in their own breath. You can also share these stories with your friends, your family, so that they too may walk with you on the path of mindfulness. For peace is not something to keep only for yourself. The more it is shared, the deeper it becomes. And now, as you prepare to drift into sleep, carry this gentle message with you. You are enough. You are loved. You are worthy of rest. May you sleep peacefully. Good night, and see you again on the next journey with Silent Soul Garden.